Let's go. Okay, where do I need to grab? Toyota Tacomas. For Toyota Tacomas. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to share some screens. Give me that Edge tab, baby. Love this for me. All right, cool. Okay, so I guess we go. Look at Search Tempest and see what we find. So, for context, my friend just bought a house, moved out of New York City, moved up to Connecticut, and has decided that he wants a Toyota Tacoma, which, fair enough. But the problem with Toyota trucks, especially the older ones, but even the new ones that are being sold, is that they have this like reputation for being some magical, amazing, perfect truck. And so the prices are double probably what they should be. And also what's really hard, as if, or like if you're not aware, like prices on all used cars are insane. They're like starting to go back down, but because of the pandemic, because of shortage, because people were driving more, because people had more free cash, a million factors, like used car prices are nuts. So I'm trying to figure out, like, can I find him a Toyota Tacoma for less than, he's got a quote on one for, it's 150,000 miles. It's like an 09. I don't remember exactly the year, but a first gen Tacoma. And some lady wants to sell him one for $14,000, which is nuts to me. It's nuts to me. I don't get it. So I want to see if I could find something better. I've already kind of done a little poking around last week to see what I can, what I can find. And I'm sure there's a better deal. So I'm going to go just at least get some comps for him and try to see what is available. I don't like Auto Tempest. I don't know why. It's probably better than Search Tempest. I don't know why. I don't like it. All right, so I'm just gonna like do what I normally do, which is, Search Tempest is gonna be hard on the stream because it opens like 5 million tabs, but I'll figure it out. So I'm gonna do what I always do, which is just go look and see, get a snapshot of the market and try to understand, what's out there. So, all right, let me stop sharing that screen or that tab. I'll share a different tab. Here we go. Worcester Cars and Trucks, baby. Okay, so here is one region. I don't even remember what I picked. I guess Connecticut, Rhode Island area for Craigslist. Craigslist is not the best place to buy necessarily. I don't know. Like, you can still find stuff. It's if you can find the ideal situation, I think, for some like a used car like this, is that you want to find some truck that somebody's owned, they've taken good care of or good enough care of. They know that they have something that's worth some amount of money, but they also are not trying to they're not trying to squeeze you. They're not trying to go on someplace and be like bring a trailer or whatever, or a dealer coming into you saying like, oh, sorry, buddy, these things are super expensive right now. You're going to have to pay all this money. So, I feel like Craigslist at least is a good a sense of like what's available out there for individual people, and then also what, just like what the general kind of price in the market is. This is a cool looking truck. This Ford Ranger step side. Now, see, I've been trying to get him to consider other trucks than the Toyota Tacoma. But what's very frustrating right now in truck land is that everybody thinks that Toyota makes the best trucks in the world and everything else is crappy compared to them. And I've owned Toyota trucks. I've owned 3, 4. I've owned a Tacoma, a 2nd-gen Tacoma. I've owned a 3rd-gen 4Runner, and I've owned a 100 Series Land Cruiser. I think that's it. And so they're great. Like, nothing wrong with the Toyota truck. I like a Toyota truck, but they're not magic. They have plenty of their own problems, especially these early 1st and 2nd-gen Tacomas have terrible problems with frame rots. They've been replaced, like factory recalls. Toyota had to spend billions of dollars on factory recalls. The engines are bulletproof, as people say, but like a bulletproof engine just means, it's a decent engine, and plenty of other people make decent engines too. So it's not that I have any problem with Toyota trucks per se. The problem that I have is that they've got this brand reputation now as being some magical thing that's better than anything that anybody ever else made. And like, maybe that was more applicable in the 80s or something back in the day, but it's not the case anymore. Like, there's plenty, the last 15 years, plenty of good trucks have been made by plenty of manufacturers. And the other factor, which is like, sorry, I have tons of thoughts about this, but like, people come to me all the time asking for me to help them shop for trucks. It doesn't matter how good this truck was 20 years ago when it came out. Like, if it's been 20 years, things happen. Like, things happen. So, it's great that they were maybe the best, parity, compared truck 20 years ago. But like, all trucks fall apart. All things have problems. And even a Toyota, even if you hear of like, oh, it was 1 million miles or had, 500,000 miles on this Tacoma, like, great. That's an awesome thing. But that was also from when it was new 20 years ago. And it's also like, is yours going to do that? How is it taken care of? Yeah. So anyway, whatever. Like, I will say all of this 1 million times because I've said it 1 million times before. But let me see if my friend really wants a 1st-gen Tacoma, what is out there price-wise that can be gotten. Okay, so this is like close. And I will say, that I have, like, I do kind of want to work on a 1st-gen Tacoma, and I know I'll be doing a lot of work on this truck, so I'm inclined to try to help him find one. So like, I'm motivated to help him find the right one, but like, not pay $14,000. Like, I don't get it. So this is a great example, right? All right, so you've got 2002, which is like midway through the cycle of the 1st-gen Tacoma. Truck has no rust and never been any accidents. Sure, that's fine. I'll believe him for now. Automatic, has 200,000 miles. Everything's perfect, and it has the frame replacement. The frame replacement is that Toyota recall that they did. There were literal, if you like, for years, if you would go behind Toyota dealerships, there would be literal piles of old frames that they'd pulled out of these trucks. Is pretty wild. So he wants a 4-door, which they come in 2 varieties. There is the access cab, which is the ones that have these little baby windows back here. Can you see my mouse? Oh yeah, you can. So like, they're fine. I've had my Tacoma was an access cab. I still greatly prefer the 4-door, which is, I don't remember if they call it the extended cab. I think they do. It's what I have come to realize, even on these small trucks, is the difference between a 5-foot bed and a 6-foot bed practically is not that big a deal. And since a lot of these trucks now end up being like mixed use cases, like, you might as well get you might as well get a 4-door because like my friend has kids and he's going to want to haul crap inside, not in the bed. Like, so it's better to get them. The problem with the first gens of the Tacomas is that they did not make a lot of 4-doors. So they're, I don't know if they're technically the rarest, but in my experience, they're like the hardest ones to find. But you find a lot of these, which are the access cabs in the first gen. So yeah, look at this. This is what we're dealing with in Tacoma world. $15,000 for a 20-year-old truck. It's just a truck. It's not in great shape. I mean, it's in fine shape, but it's not perfect by any means. It's not a collector's item. It's $15,000, which is wild. And I also think too, at this point, if you have access to people who know how to work on cars, which my friend does because he has access to me, that why not get something that's slightly lower quality, isn't as cherry, but is sorry, I just realized cherry probably means virgin, which is probably bad. I don't know, but something that's not perfect, and spend the money to fix it up. Like, you're gonna fix any 20-year-old car up anyway. That's how they work. There's a problem with Craigslist now, though, is that you do end up having a bunch of dealer stuff show up, which is, fine. He could certainly buy a truck from a dealer. There's no reason not to, but maybe the deals aren't going to be as good. So let me see here. Oh, you know what I do want to do as well is just get onto Twitter real quick and see if anybody has any. If you have any expertise on this matter and the vagaries of the what am I typing stuff? Of the current used car market, please come help me save my friend a bunch of money. Actually, please come. I'm trying to get people to join the stream. Please come tell me tell me what I'm missing. Am I luring people in by implying that they're smarter than me? But I'm also trying to stop being so self-effacing for no reason. Okay, look at this guy. Now that's a handsome little fella. I love the 2-doors. I don't think I'd ever buy one practically because, like, what's the point? But man, they're cool looking. Stick shift. Yeah, that's fun. It's got the smaller 4-cylinder engine. Like, probably even 10 years ago, well, maybe not quite that, but somewhere in the last decade, this truck was probably a $3,000 truck. And like, that's insane. Hey, what are you saying, Joff? I feel like the used truck market has always been asking stupid. Yeah, it's just everything is broken in used cars right now, like 100%. And but there's still deals. This is my contention. So what I have noticed with a lot of my friends that are out shopping, I live in New York City, or like I live in Westchester, I live in the suburbs, but like so many of my New York City friends decided this was the year that they were going to buy a car. And like a lot of people did, clearly, because car sales were good considering. And it's like, okay, cool, but you don't need to just go to the first place and buy it because you're like, well, this is what cars cost now. Like, cars, you can still find deals on cars if you do the legwork. And to me, it's worth it's worth literally thousands of dollars. You offloaded your 16 Cherokee, that first gen 9-speed. I don't know much about Cherokees, to be honest, but yeah, for $3K. Yeah, I mean, what did you get into? Like, when you sold your Cherokee, was that just like a side fun truck? Because that's the problem right now is like the 2 cars that we own at the moment, I absolutely could sell, the Volvo in particular, I could sell for at least what I paid for it because I got a really stupid deal on it a few years ago. But then what do I buy? Like, there's nothing there. You know, I'd either have to buy something new, which is really not a great deal. And also, I love my Volvo. So, like, what am I? You know, what else do I want to do? Okay, so look, this is the kind of stuff I'm trying to find. I mean, this isn't exactly it, but like, look at this. So it's a regular cab, and it's, you know, it's got some rust, but actually, those rockers are not great. But you know, could be saved with a lot of elbow grease. But it's $5,000. It's got 150,000 miles, and it's a second gen. So there are deals out there. Like, all I need to do is beat 14 grand for a truck that, like, I'm pretty sure is garbage anyway. Or even in best case, it's perfect. Like, I just got to beat 14 grand to find him a better deal. It's an SR5. SR5 is like the most common trim. Sometimes I get it confused. Don't hold me to it. But like, there's the off-road, like the TRD off-roads, and then there's SR5 below that, which I think is what most of them sold at. And then they may have sold a trim underneath the SR5, but I don't think so. Daily Ford transmission repairs. Yeah, that's modern transmissions. Yeah. Oh, Sonata. Yeah, I mean, that's smart. Like, I don't think there's a better. I mean, Honda's still kind of keeping it together, although, you know, I have my issues with some of their product planning choices. But yeah, dude, like a Hyundai Sonata, that's a great car. Like, you know, it's not something you're going to cherish for the rest of your life or anything like that. But I would buy the very first place I would send somebody to go look at a new car right now, even though the dealership experience is apparently pretty crappy, is a Kia or a Hyundai. Yeah, 30K. Like, they're great. Like, I think that Hyundais and Kias are the Toyota, and I mean, I'm not the first to say this, obviously, but I think they're practically giving you like what Honda and Toyota used to give you. And like, when you're buying something new or you're leasing, you don't care about like, is this thing going to hold together for years and years and years? Like, who cares? You bought it new. You've got a warranty for 7 years, however long the Hyundai warranty is. Yeah, no, I think that's a smart move, especially if it's just a mileage burner. You just want comfort. You want like CarPlay to work. All right, so I need to find a 4-door, because like, that's what I feel. If I can, he's looking at an access cab now, and if I can find him a 4-door, then I'll win. All right, so let me just do my basic Tacoma Wikipedia. Let me just make sure I know what model or what years the first gen were. Okay, 95 to 04. So yeah. Oh, there were 2 4-bangers. There was it was probably, yeah, like a mid-cycle 2. They upped it a little bit. I mean, he needs the 3.4. That's a legendary engine if you want no power and no torque. But they do, I mean, they are solid, and you can pull them out of junkyards all day long, find rebuilds for like $2,000. I wouldn't, the 4-bangers are fine and fun considering, but like, I wouldn't like spend a premium for Tacoma now without the 3.4. Okay, what am I looking for? So I'm going to go back to Search Tempest. I'm going to dig in. Oh, wait, I'm in my wrong browser. Sorry. So let's go back to Search Tempest, and let me see. You know what? I'm going to try Auto Tempest. No relation, no sponsorship, although I would 100% take any sponsorships you got. Let's go big. Oh, the boys, the YouTube boys, they're still their thing. So let's look, hopefully, like, you know, because me personally, like, I'll buy a car anywhere in the country because I like the adventure of going out on the road and, you know, finding people to go like kick the tires somewhere else. This is my zip code. You're welcome to try to come track me down. Don't track me down. That would be terrible. 300 miles, that's fine. But like, where we live in particular in New York City, or just like big metro area. This is the other thing that gets really, I'm from the Midwest. I'm from like Kansas City area and the Ozarks. So I'm very used to looking for something and looking for something like a few hundred miles away from a city, because you only have to go through the trouble once, and often the prices are like half as much, and it's just totally worth it. Yeah, so I use Search Tempest all the time, which is it's just like a Craigslist aggregator. They also plug into other things, but it's a really good way to like search everything on the whole US of Craigslist, which if I'm looking for something kind of obscure, a car part that's rare, or some piece of electronics or furniture, all the crap I buy. Search Tempest is awesome because you can blow open like 50 tabs at once, and it'll just slurp up all of the Craigslist stuff, and then you can go through it. They built Auto Tempest, and I think it might be doing well for them because they've certainly been spending money, and it pulls up all of these results from other places. I personally don't find it that useful because, like, if I want to go look at Carvana, like in my head, I'm like, I just want to go look at Carvana right now. Or if I'm going to look, I rarely ever look at eBay Motors because I just feel like you can't get deals there. But whatever. I mean, it's a tool. I'm happy to use the tool. That's fine. Okay. He would probably be okay with the manual, but he says he would be anyway. I don't know if he would be. All right. So we want 4 doors, 6 cylinders. Title. I don't think the title matters by any. Oh, okay. Where can I put in the year? That's the most important part here. What the hell? Oh, min year. I was looking right at it. Okay, so 1995, 2004. Cars.com is fine. I really like autotrader.com and also Car Gurus, but usually like the listings are the same across those if you're looking at dealer cars, right? So for me, it's mostly just a question of like, do I like their interface to look around? Double cab, that's what they called them. It wasn't an extended cab. It took Toyota called them a double cab. So, yeah, this one I like. This one's pretty close to us. Like New Jersey's fine, right? Oh yeah, see, somebody already got it. Oh well, I had opened up in a new tab and it says it's already sold, which is great. Like that was. Is it insane that you should be able to, or you should have to pay $8,500 for a truck with 250,000 miles? Yes, it's dumb. But on the other hand, can you buy a new crate or a remanufactured engine for one of these for $2,000 or $3,000 and run it for another 250,000 miles? Yes. Like if you can do that work yourself, which I'm like on the border of it, but honestly would probably just take it to one of my mechanics and say like, yo, please don't screw me on this. Like, but I get it. It's like you're buying the chassis and the interior and all the parts more than anything else. So here's a 2002 base. Please don't open it up in a new browser. That is bad for me. It opened up in a new browser. All right, so that's fine. I'm just getting comps and ideas now. It's saying 20. How long do one of these last realistically? Funny question. So, I mean, the short answer is it'll last as long as you keep putting money into it. Which is like, not to be a dickhead, but it's like, that's why there's cars from the 30s and 50s still on the road, right? Like, if you want to pour a bunch of money into them, great. But realistically, how much money do you want to spend to keep it on the road is a totally different question. Of like ones I have direct experience with that are either owned by friends or acquaintances, I would say I would say a Tacoma, you could probably safely bet that you can get 300,000 miles out of one if you stay on top of everything, right? Like, but that's like without a lot of heavy duty work. Like the engine should run for 300,000 miles. If you do all your oil changes, you may have to do, I don't know what the head gasket situation is, if they're better or worse than something else, but like you may have to do some digging in. But yeah, you could get 300,000 miles out of it. That's why they have the reputation that they do. Like that's why people think they're cool, is that 20 years ago when you bought a GMC, if you got 150,000 miles out of one, you're like, lucky, you're feeling good. And so when these trucks started to show that, hey, no, actually these things are running fine, they're really well built, they'll go forever, forever relative to like 1995 truck, like then that's where this reputation of like they're tough, they can go anywhere, they're light, they're well engineered, etc. And that is true. But it's also ignoring that, in 1995 is when I graduated from high school, and I am not young. Like that was a long time ago. Is that 30 years? Oh my God. Yeah, it's 2090. Sorry, I'm terrible with math. 2005, 2015. Oh man, 30 years. I am so old. So, okay. This is showing that there's not a lot of double cabs. And the double cabs are definitely all touching, best case scenario, 10 grand. This one is interesting though. An 03 4-wheel drive, keyless entry. I don't think they had keyless entry. Oh no, that I thought it was talking about the keyless start, but it may have keyless entry. All right, I'm going to open this up and we're going to look at this specifically. I hope you're enjoying this, Juffins. So let me switch to that screen. This Melon app that I'm using to stream is super nice, but like that's the one thing that's a little annoying is when you share a tab, it doesn't, like you can't just quickly switch the tab. All right. It's a hot car. I have no idea how they calculate any of that stuff. Probably just like the number of people that have clicked. Those are not stock wheels to my best of my knowledge, but it's a black truck, which is fine. It's not to my taste. I like the colors a little more. It's a TRD off-road, so it should be trimmed out pretty good. Looks in good shape. Like, from what you can tell from pictures. Interior is nice. So this seems great to me, right? It's an automatic, which I honestly think he should just buy the automatic. I'm not a fan. I am famous among the 19 people that I regularly talk to about trucks of being anti-manual in trucks. I don't get it. All right, so it's got some frame damage. And in Taco land, in Toyota land, like, is this terrible rust? Like, can it be fixed? Like, sure. That one spot. The problem with this is that, so what actually happened with Toyota, the way a car gets put together is like, Toyota doesn't own steel foundries and stuff like that. I mean, maybe they do, but like in general, they're going to a company that makes frames and they're saying, hey, we're going to buy 500,000 frames from you over the course of the next 5 years or whatever. The company they contracted out to build these frames, which is an American company, if I recall correctly, because I believe these tacos were still built in America then. Like they definitely are now. They're built in Texas. They just gave them crappy steel. And so it was a really, ultimately it's Toyota's fault. They picked the wrong vendor, blah, 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 blah. But like effectively like the mix, and I'm a little out of my element. Get it? Metal. I'm a little out of my element here. I don't remember exactly what the story is, but basically like the mix on the steel was bad. And so there's really nothing you can do if you have one of these previous frames. If it's already starting to get rust and rot, like the whole thing's going to flip at some point, right? And so one of the things that happens to me a lot when I have my non-truck, non-car buddies come to me, because I'm kind of like a truck Sherpa for some folks around here, and they'll be like, well, I found this truck and like the frame has some rust stuff, like, should I buy it? And it's always a real tricky thing for me, especially on these Toyotas, because I wouldn't mind buying a truck like that because I will get underneath it eventually and like wire wheel everything down to the bare metal, and I'll like sit there with screwdrivers and hammers and like bang on everything and really get in and figure out. And I'm not a welder, like I can technically do it, but I'm terrible at it. These are things that they don't scare me. And it's like, okay, if this frame has one section that's a little screwed up, I'll get somebody to cut that section out and I'll clean it up and I'll put rust converter paint on it and I'll seal it all up, and then I won't worry about it, for 5 years or something like that. The problem that I've run into though is that a lot of, most people, just normal people, don't know about this stuff, don't want to know about this stuff. And so they look at rust in a frame and they go like, well, I should be able to just fix this one thing and then not worry about it. And it's like, no, you kind of have to go all the way back to the bare metal on the entire frame to understand like how bad the damage is. And then sometimes, and I believe that the Tacoma is one of these situations, if you don't have one of the new frames, which apparently also are not perfect and do rust sometimes, like I wouldn't feel comfortable with it until you back it all the way out. Or if these were cheap trucks that you can get away with for, if these were $2,000 trucks, then you just go, well, screw it. The frame's going to break at some point, but like I'll drive it and enjoy it until then. So it makes you feel bad that you're not handy. I'm not that handy, to be honest. Like I grew up in the country, but like we were like nerds in the country. And so I grew up, like I have a lot of farmer family, and like farming is basically small engine repair, right? Like, so I've been proximate to a lot of handy people, but I didn't get good, and I'm not good, but you know what I mean? I didn't get comfortable with working on cars until not that long ago, like 6 or 7 years ago. And YouTube and the internet made learning how to work on stuff like so much easier than it used to be, because you don't have to like, if you need to know how to fix like something, there's 20 videos out there that'll do it. I will say though, like there's certain things that now that I have learned a lot more on how to work on cars, there's definitely stuff that I'm like, cool, I could do that if I had time and I don't have to do anything else. But like I could also just pay somebody $200 to do it, or $500, or whatever it costs. So I like this truck. I am actually going to send it to him, although the rust thing, like, I wouldn't let him buy it if I didn't go out there and like really take a look at the frame and see, is that like, a weekend or two's worth of work to patch back up and clean up, or is that the frame actually needs to be removed? But the mileage is pretty low. I don't know where New Hope, PA is, but pretty much anywhere in PA is 4 hours at most away from where we're at. Not too crazy. That's interesting. So that's cars.com. Let's actually dig in here just so I can keep it in browser. What? Oh, I picked Volkswagen. Yeah, I get really caught up in this because like I love trucks. There's nothing that makes me happier than my friends like getting the truck they've dreamed about for 15 years. It's like deeply, deeply satisfying to me. But I also know that it's just like building somebody a computer. Like when you build a computer for somebody, you have to explain to them, like, I'm not free tech support for the rest of your life. Like helping my friends shop for cars is a very similar experience, which is like, I will help you do it. I will even help you like get it up to shape, but like ultimately you're buying a car and you need to be prepared for like if something goes wrong, it's going to cost a lot of money. Like I'm not a free mechanic, but I will help you find a mechanic if you need one. What do you do? How do you say your name? Joffins? 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 I'm just going to say it how I can say it because I can't hear you. Are you like a tech nerd? Joffins. Okay, easy enough. Right on. Technically, I do too, except like I do other things, but I'm always like the nerd version of whatever hobby I'm into. Why won't it let me minimum year? All right, fine. Oh, maybe cars.com doesn't sell anything before 2000. All right, so they've got 12 matches. So there's a project. I can't even talk about it yet, not because it's like some top secret thing, but I am working on with a friend of mine here on a car project that is deeply nerdy for our other car. And I won't even tell the world what the other car I have until I get this project finished. But I will tell you the short version of it, which is like basically I'm going to end up wiring a bunch of they're not Arduinos, but like ESP32s, I think is the chipset, and LED arrays into this car that I'm kind of styling out. Like I'm building it, but I mean, I'm mostly just bolting stuff onto it. But it's just, that's my like project for the year. That is my teach myself new nerdy things, which is I'm like trying to, I have taught myself a tiny little bit of CAD, and I'm going to try to like get more into 3D printing. And then I'm going to try to like write a little tiny bit or modify a little bit of custom code. And that's what I tend to do a lot with cars is like, I'll build them up mechanically a little bit, but I'm past the point where I'm like trying to go wild with the builds because I get tired of them and I sell them. And the more you modify something, the harder it is to sell it later. And like, but yeah, there's something coming up that's going to be hopefully by the end of the year done, and it'll be super, super cool. Allentown. So I like that color on that generation of this. So he's listed, that's at a Chevy dealer, 14 grand. That's not bad. Yeah, IoT stuff is cool. And like, so there's another thing that there's some super cool stuff happening right now in like the intersection of car culture, like car building culture, and super nerds, like, tech, where there's entire communities now dumping the firmwares of ECMs and ECUs out of cars and reprogramming them, catching the CAN bus language across what the different car systems speak, and doing all sorts of stuff from like FCA actually has apparently like a very easy hackable thing, which is bad for safety, but it's cool. There's a bunch of people that have like in the Fiat 500, I think is one that has this community where there's stuff that FCA turned off at the factory, and people have figured out like, oh, if you can just come in and catch and rewrite the firmware here, you can like add features back to the car. And then people are also building stuff with that, like you 100% now can, if you wanted to control, you can build like an off-the-shelf self-driving car. It will be crap and kill you and other people, but like you can, there's hackers that are figuring out like how to write to the CAN bus signals and take over those sort of things to take over steering. And yes, it will be a Tesla. There's so much cool stuff right there. And like, I don't think there's a great audience for it. Otherwise, I would think about starting like a website about it or something. It really should just be covered. Like The Verge should cover it, when something cool happens. So this is a cool truck. It's just us watching, but like, I do actually want to find my friend something. And there's some safety to me in buying from a dealer. Like when you buy used from a dealer, it's as is, just like if you were buying from an individual. But like the process is a little less stressful sometimes, at least for me. Like dealers don't stress me out. And also, if they've got this here for $1,342, $492, like they probably got a little bit of flexibility. This was probably a trade-in. Let me just throw this into a notes app so I don't forget it. Let's see if anybody wanted to do something on Twitter. I got a question for you, Joffins. So like, I have no immediate goals with this stream. Like I'm just doing it to do it and see where I can go and see if I can have fun. Do you think, like, do you watch any other live stream stuff outside of Twitch, or are you like honed in on Twitch? Like you watch Twitch, but you don't watch live streams on YouTube or anywhere else? Or do you go like where there's content and people that you want to follow? I need to find a freaking notes app. There we go. All right, so that one's good. Let's see if I can find anything that looks. I'm not going to send him that one because the Rust thing is a bit much. And then here's find. Oh, yeah. I mean, so I think Twitch is, to me, like what I was just talking about with the car hacking stuff, where it's like Twitch is harder to get into because of the interface and all of the things that you can do with it. But that's what's cool about it to me. Like the amount of stuff that you can program into Twitch and all the APIs and interfaces they've built for it. Like you can do such cooler stuff with the streams than you can anywhere else. At least I think so. Like I'm a little biased because I used to work there for a second and also have friends that still work there. But like, I'm not really biased. Like, I just genuinely think, I think it's definitely the coolest or the most extensible platform. The question I have is like a lot of the people that I'd like to build to get onto the stream, like the whole idea of what I want to play with is like people that just want like something to listen to at work and not necessarily have like gaming content, which like there's obviously just talking and all this stuff. I'm not the first to have this idea, but I'm like, how scary do they think going onto Twitch is? Like, if you're just like a normie who is like, well, I'd like to watch this show about shopping, but like Twitch is purple and I don't know what to do with it. Yeah, third-party support is great. Like when I was set, I mean, I haven't streamed in like a year, and I didn't stream a lot before. And when I sat down to see what was out there for current, you know, it's like I knew about, like, in my head, I was like, do I use Twitch's streaming solution, which I know is still technically in beta, but has some nice stuff because it's like, you know, made by Twitch. And then there's Slobs and Obs and all that stuff. But then like Melon, which is what I'm using now, which is from Streamlabs, is great. Like I will probably switch back into Slobs at some point to if I want to start building like interactivity and you know, all that fun stuff. But this Melon app thing, yeah, check it out. It's melonapp.com. That's what I'm using right now. It's basically like they stole the interface from Zoom. It's like super, it's web-based. It's super simple. But what is really cool, and I'm going to do this later. Oh, crap. I just realized I might be missing meetings. I'm going to do this at some other point. Like you can have guests call in, and it's just as easy as Zoom, and then you just like grab it and put it on there. Yeah, I don't know if it's successful or not, because here's the other thing that's really weird about Twitch, like ecosystem stuff is, sorry, let me just look at my calendar because I'm like freaking out that I do have other work stuff. Oh no, I'm good. I got like an hour. It's like, you know, there's so many different ways that you can stream now and slice all that stuff together. And I do think that Melon is a really good idea for making something just dead simple, That's basically what the Twitch streaming solution broadcast studio, I can't remember what they named it. That's like what they're, that's the idea. It's like slobs and obs, way too complex, hard to get into for an average person who isn't even sure they want to do anything on Twitch. But I'm also like, out of people that actually want to stream on Twitch, is the tool set the barrier? It's like, I don't know. But Melon's cool. Yeah. It's like Melon, if out of all of the web-based ones I've seen so far, that's the one where I'm like, if somebody wants to just stream, I would just send them there. I wonder if I can actually, well, I may show stuff I don't want to show, but you should check it out. It's like the call-in the call-in thing was the reason I wanted to do it, which was I'm going to have some friends call in because, I think it's nice to talk to people, not just ramble. And like, out of everything I was going to do where I was like, okay, I'll pull in a Zoom thing and I'll run it through slobs and I'll put it over here. Melon just goes like, here you go. Like, send them a link. They dial in. It's just like Zoom and it works. Yeah. It depends on what you're using Discord for. And I have to say, like, I use Discord. I have Discord open right now. Because I'm old and also because I don't use all of the tie-in part of Discord to games or groups of gamers. And even I barely use the audio part. I just use it when I have friends that I'm gaming with that are using it. I don't know how Discord and Twitch play nice together, but I'm sure there's tons of integration. So this truck is also cool. This one is like 17 grand, right? But I know why it is. It's because it's got 80,000 miles and a clean frame. But I am going to save this one as well because one, I like the color. I just really like these red. I don't know if my friend actually likes the red or not, but if he's at a point where he's going to spend 14 grand, it's like, well, let's see. Cause I think I could probably, if this is it's at a dealership, I could probably talk these guys down to 14 grand from 17 grand. There's demand for these trucks, but there's not. Yeah. It's got an accident, which is no big deal, but depending on what the accident was. That's a nice truck. The wheels suck. Those are those aftermarket wheels that a lot of people use. The recording sub info for Discord channels. Yeah. Discord's dope. I mean, I use Slack for so much stuff because I just do, but I really do and who knows where that company will go, but I like the fact that they've figured out what Discord has done in the fact that they're something that came out of the video game community world, but are slowly pushing into, I wouldn't say business, but they're pushing into places where and communities where monetization, Discord isn't trying to go we're going to squeeze a bunch of money out of people as soon as possible. Whereas Slack is basically it's fine. Here's the free tier. But if you want to do it, you're going to need to pay X amount per user, blah, blah, blah. And it's built for businesses. And I really like stuff that comes out of gaming because gaming tends to be more of a model where it's we're going to give you you can do basically everything you need to do forever for free. But then here on these power user edge case, big community things, we will try to monetize it there. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing that happens with gaming is gamers will pay they'll do stupid stuff with their money pre-orders and buy a ton of games, but they hate getting squeezed. And so I actually appreciate that tension as a user because I think that's how you keep a lot of these companies honest. Otherwise you do get into situations where they just turn up the heat slowly but surely and go that direction. But yeah, I mean, I'm part of a community that use Discord that's a bunch of ex-journalists that they all went to Substack, And like, you know, like all these people are like, let's go steal Substack's VC money for a year or two. And then if it doesn't work out, fine, but I make good money. But the community they built around those newsletters is all on Discord. And it's like, it makes perfect sense. Like it's a much better place for that kind of community than Slack would ever be. Okay. I get the gist. Like, I don't want to go like, I actually do. I do want to dig in further on some of this stuff, but I need to open like 20 tabs, and it's like not necessarily a great way to do streaming. But I do want to look at one more place, which is Bring a Trailer, because Bring a Trailer, I don't know if you are familiar with it. This is like started as a community thing. Hearst Autos owns it now, like the Road and Track car and driver people. And like, this is where people auction more rare collectible one-offs, but it also is kind of like the vibe around like NFTs sort of applies to Bring a Trailer, where sometimes people like are overpaying just so they can overpay in public. Like, I don't know. I don't think I would ever, I'm not sure I would ever sell on BAT at this point, because like they take a big chunk, but I definitely would not buy on BAT at this point. That's a cool truck. Sorry, I got to look at this. Like, I don't fetishize the Hilux over anything else per se, but I love work trucks. I love old trucks. Oh man, this is a cool truck. Factory literature toolkit, clean Wisconsin title, and the name of the seller's father. Like, oh my gosh. Like, this is so cool. If this is really what it appears to be, which is that this was somebody's dad's work truck that he just kept in great shape. Like, as a collectible, it's awesome. Like, you would never really want to drive it that much, except just to like bop around town. But what a cool, pretty thing. Like, I really love cars and trucks that have a story, but more than like having a story, like, because every vehicle has a story of some sort. I like ones that like were like they were bought for just a purpose, and then somebody's decided to memorialize that purchase. Like I think like a trash truck that segues into like a classic car is much cooler than like, you know, a sports car from 50 years ago that was collectible from the day it rolled off the lot. They've got the little tech like old school thing. This has to have been repainted, right? Like, it's just too, like, the paint looks not new. It looks like that kind of thing that happens to single stage paint, where it just gets a little cloudy, milky. All right. I got to see in the description. Two-spoke. Okay. It was previously used a building maintenance company and was recently acquired by the seller. Fuel pump and okay. So they cleaned it up for sure, but it's not clear from here if it was actually like that, or if they just like did a cosplay. It's purchased. Oh, here we go. Purchased new in Evanston, Illinois. Is that near you? Evanston's near Chicago, right? It sold Toyotas and Rolls Royce, and apartment complex has been socked away for the last 30 years. It has under 2,000 original miles from my perspective. Damn, I love that. If I had whatever this will go through for, probably 15 grand or something, I would absolutely buy this thing. I love it. But I don't have 11 grand to buy on something that honestly should be in a museum. I'm going to tweet this real quick, though. Hey, man, if you got 100K, let's build this channel. We're going to get 100K. Hey, Bijan, what's up, man? We've been looking at trucks for a while. We can look at something else. I have no idea. Like, so where I'm at now is like trying to figure out like even just format, like how I want to approach this stuff. Cause I do have, stuff I actually have to do at my job. But I like that, like I want to do a car show, just, talk to people. I want to do Auction Ninja, which I did yesterday, which was also awesome. Also, my guy, I'm going to need you to show the Chrome window you're using. I am showing it, all right? Oh, I forgot to turn it back on. Look at that. Joffins, you were supposed to point out that I'm fucking up. I sat here and talked about this thing the whole time. Yeah, right? Look at this. So I was just saying, like, it has 2,000. It's got 2,000 miles. They said they're estimating that it was like a work truck and then it just sat. I don't think it's been resprayed. I think they just cleaned it up. That looks like original. I'm no expert on paint, but like that looks like original paint. It's like, it's a perfect truck. And like, it's an honest truck, right? Like, it's not like you buy this and then you turn it into a camper or an off-roader or anything like that. It's like, this is just a dope original truck from whenever it is, 1970 something. And it's in perfect shape. It's going for 11 grand. And I think it's going for this low because like nobody, like, what do you do with it? Oh, look at this. What do they call this style of architecture? I've just been learning about this. Plains architecture, something like that. Yeah, man, it's a good truck. That's original. See, like that crazing, like that's the original paint, I think. What a cool thing. And they look like they didn't over restore it. Like they just, it's got the underspray, which is like kind of a bad thing if it were not kept inside somewhere. Amazing. Amazing. I want it. So I was saying earlier, Bij, my friend is actually looking for a first generation Tacoma to like use as a truck. Yeah, here we go. So this is the kind of stuff I was trying to figure out. This is what he wants to buy. He wants to buy a double cab first gen Tacoma. But as you can see, this last one that sold, and this is just, it's 18K miles, which in fairness is ridiculously low miles. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with these, but this all started today is that he found one locally to him. And honestly, it's just like the first one he looked at for like 14 grand for 150,000 miles. And I'm just like, I can beat that. I know I can beat that. I can find him something better. I haven't seen this other truck, and also the one he's looking at is an access cab. And I really think he should hold out and get the full 4-door situation. But I'm just on Bring a Trailer now because I'm like, okay, what's the going rate? Honestly, like I would not, if I had $27,000 to spend, I would not buy this particular truck. I would buy something with higher miles that was newer or bigger or beefier. But like, I'm kind of like, I'm almost surprised it didn't go for more, all things considered. So if you consider that the benchmark or the top of the, like, if you have a low mileage, perfect shape, this one's actually slightly modified. Probably. It looks like it might have a lift that looks a little taller than stock to me. Maybe not. You're going to pay 30 grand for like a perfect one. if you are that guy who wants to buy a perfect one. Yeah, so this is funny too, right? So the 99, that is not a factory color, although I do like it. More purple trucks, please. Yeah, that was bid to 17 grand. Oh, see, it's not even the 6-cylinder. That's the inline 4, the 2.7. Yeah, can I? Let me see if I can pull this camera bigger. I'm using Melon. I'm not using slobs right now because I've just been lazy setting up slobs. Let me see how I can match this. Let me try this layout. How about that? Can you still see the browser screen in that layout or that? I would think it would let me change the size of me, but maybe it doesn't. What's wrong with slobs versus, like, first of all, I mean, this machine, you're not talking to a peasant. Like, I have a lot of machine. I have plenty of CPU to play with here, my friend. I don't have like a preference of Bobs versus slobs. Like, honestly, they seem fairly similar. But I'm also at the point where if I can just pay somebody $10 a month for a piece of software and it runs, it's like easier to use a little bit, then I would consider doing it. Hold on, let me see if I can bump this. Oh wait, that's just playing a video. I do really like Melon for making it easy, and I'm almost positive, unless, like, if I all of a sudden get if I get a bunch of people watching this content, then I will like sit down and like nut up and set everything up properly. But like Melon for getting other people, I was just telling Joffins this earlier, like Melon for getting people into the stream is like so easy. Actually, are you at a machine, Beige? And I will send you a invite and you can like get on here because I kind of want to test it. Also, specs wise, for the first time in my life, I bought an off-the-shelf PC because it was the only way to get a GPU. But I bought CyberPower, and it's got some Intel chip. I didn't even look, and a 3060. And so it's like, it's not like totally nuts or anything, but like compared to, like, I didn't even have a PC here for 2 or 3 years. Yeah, I mean, when I bought this was like I bought it in December, I think. Like, I literally couldn't. There were no, like, all the mining GPUs were gone. So it was like I bought this machine, I think, for $1,100, $1,200, something like that. And like that's what a 3060 was going for if you could find one. I mean, this thing, for my purposes, like this thing cooks. Like I don't need like I actually do run a lot of stuff at 4K, but it's also because I'm not like a frame rate weirdo. I think this monitor I bought, even, I think it's just a 60 hertz monitor. Oh, cool. They do have chat in Melon. I've been opening up Twitch in a different browser to do it. I thought that was weird that Melon didn't have chat, but it does. I honestly, like, I thought I would buy, or I thought I would be, oh, it does change the resolution on the screen. So thank you for letting me like fuck around with my browser. But I bought this because my kid brother and I were gaming or wanted to game, and he's like exclusively PC right now. Going for $1,000? Are you serious? We live in a strange world. So one of the streams I want to do, I'm actually talking to my pal Patrick. I want to do a stream where the goal is to see if I can buy a PS5, like just to see if I can figure out like what Discord to go into. And like, to be clear, like I refuse to pay $1 more than MSRP, but like I want to figure out if there's a way, and I don't even really want a PS5, but it's just like, can I figure out like where the hole in the market is? right, I'm gonna unshare this. Let's see here. All right, so I feel pretty good about this Tacoma experience. I think either I can find him something that needs a little bit of work for, call it 8-ish, 8 grand, 8-9 grand, but will be just as good as probably what he's looking at now. Or I could find him something even better with lower miles for about the same price as what he's got listed. And I do want to work on one of these. And I know him, like he's somebody who's never had a truck. He's been captivated by all this like overlanding stuff for years, and he's gonna wanna mod it. And like, I'm down. Like, I am down to help him out with all of that. But I want to start with something good. Actually, sorry, I'm going to open up Twitch again because that Melon app has like a chat thing, but it doesn't like to stream. It's like it doesn't even scroll properly. Let's get this bad boy up. Man, I may have to set up a second monitor though. I'm already kind of like running out of real estate. Oh, okay. Do you want to try this thing? I'm just curious. It's a review. I just want you to tell me how easy it is to join. It should be like just like using Zoom, but I want to try. So, okay, I'm going to share. Oh wait, no, I'm doing it wrong. Invite a guest, copy the link. Here, I'm going to find you on Twitter. Tammy Craps. I don't know what that's about, but I don't care for it. I do have this, I guess you can see it a little bit on screen. I have like an older monitor that I could just throw directly onto this arm. But this screen is pretty big. I'm bummed. I may just need to be a little more disciplined about how I have stuff set up. I just sent it to you on Twitter. I don't even know your Discord. Discord's for babies who are gamers. All right, so I'm going to add my screen again because I want to see what it's like to have a slightly smaller view portal for the browser. I haven't used Windows in so long. Like, besides just booting up into a game, like actually using it for productivity, I'm still figuring out how to do a lot of that stuff too. Oh, I got a voice thing that said you joined. All right, I'm gonna say this. I'm not even gonna give you the rules. I'm just gonna put you right in.
It looks like it's working. It's funny. I had a bit of it wasn't a technical difficulty, but it automatically shunts your camera into standard resolution, which makes it look really weird if you're using anything but like.
What camera are you using? Like a dedicated camera, like, but it knew which one to grab.
Yeah, it did know which one to grab, but this is also my desktop PC, and there's only one camera to grab. But I think it seems like it's like a bandwidth thing where it's it's making sure that you're not
Yeah, it
use
probably
it too much.
yeah, it probably smashes everything down as soon as possible. So presuming that everybody has crappy computers. But what I like about this is in theory, like Katie, my friend, is probably gonna do like go look at Zillow listings with me tomorrow. Do you want to know? I have an exclusive for you. Can I give you the name of the show?
Yeah.
Are you ready? It's gonna be called the real estate segment is gonna be called Show Square Feet.
Square feet.
Show Square Feet.
Show square feet. That's good. Okay, that's good.
There
That's
you go.
good.
Right? Solid.
Wow. Tagline is the
Literally.
tagline just sweetie?
It should be as soon as I figure out how to do a layout where I can have a tagline.
You should. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really like the fact that you can just I like the fact that you can just send somebody a link just like Zoom. And if they've never used Twitch, they've never done anything before, it's just like you can put them in there. And then like I can change, layouts and I can like, swap stuff around. It does give you a hand like thing where it looks like, oh yeah, see, you're the main
picture in picture.
Yeah, it's like for a dumb, sorry, I don't know why I'm calling it dumb. For a simple web-based thing, it seems nice. I like it.
Yeah, this actually seems pretty slick. And I can share things. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I can share things from my browser if I want. It looks like.
Yeah, try it.
Well, it just frees my computer.
Oh,
hold on. Oh no. Okay, there it goes. Share audio. Check it out. Yeah,
so it loads.
Got some lo-fi chill beats right there. Right there.
Nice.
But it is like lagging a bit on my end. Not a whole lot, but
yeah.
I also have gigabit internet and a PC that is monstrous. So
yeah, I think like that'll be the question because if it's really easy to use, but then it just lags out for everybody all the time, then it's not going to be a good solution. But my goal is ultimately to be able to have guests and like random people, and I spent like a day going like setting up OBS or slobs. I guess I was using. No, I actually was doing this with OBS. And like I was like, okay, I'll put Zoom in here and then I'll have this and I'll like bring them in or whatever. But it was like I'm still manually clicking all these buttons every time I'm like bringing somebody in. And so the fact that this thing just goes like, here's a URL, click it, it throws them into a waiting room, and then I can put them in is great.
And the layouts are pretty nice. I don't hate it. But it is, I like OBS only because you have much more control. So like I use OBS in Discord, which is like this is an all-in-one solution that is like a slightly higher lift. And it also you can't share the other person can't really share their screen. I mean, I guess it could, but it drops the call quality or whatever. But I find it much easier just for working with other people, or like for doing streams with other people, because like I can just create my layouts on the fly. I can like move things around. I can bump their volume. I just have like a lot of granular control, and it doesn't use a bunch of like processing power, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. No, I mean, if I stick to this, first of all, but also if anybody actually watches, I'm sure, including. I see you, Joffins, my dedicated only fan. You're my only fan. Hey. If this takes off and like people start watching, like I absolutely will sit down with OBS and like figure it out, right? Because like I'll need to do it. It's the same thing too, like because like the format idea obviously for me is more like podcasting than traditional streaming per se, but like I specifically want to do it on Twitch because I think that all of the things you can do with scripting Twitch and the interactivity to me is much cooler than anything else. And like so I might even I can see in the future it's like put it on Twitch for that and focus on the people watching and interacting on Twitch, but and then still kick it to YouTube or Facebook or anywhere else. Yeah. But like make it something that lives within Twitch. Because we did that, for those few months that I was there, one of the coolest things that we tried to do was on an Amazon Prime Day. I mean, we did do it. I didn't have much to do with it except the PR stuff, but we did that like interactive shop. It was like a home shopping parody riff thing. And like, it went fine. I think like, you know, as an event, as like a fun thing to do with Twitch, like I think it was fine. But what that made me think of was like, there should be home shopping on Twitch. Like there should be. Like it's just like built for it. It has all that Amazon integration with what is it called? Blacksmith. Like it's there's a way to do it where you can still have it be like, and I obviously haven't figured out, but it's like, can I have a Stern style talk show where it's like there's just people talking about stuff, you bring in guests, you like go through whatever, but if there is something that's brought up to be like sold, if somebody wants to buy something, that you can like build some of the interactivity in there. But really for me, that's more interesting is like, I want to start doing these gift streams, and I even cut out a little budget to do it, where it's like somebody goes, hey, I want to buy a gift for my mom because it's her birthday, blah, blah, blah. And you bring them on and you talk to them about like, okay, tell me about your mom. Like, what's she into? Tell me about your dad. Let me see that dad. And like, bring them in. But then it'd be really cool to be able to like, let people within the stream go like, yeah, like I'm going to throw $1 into this, like, cause I want to like get it up to a threshold and we're going to all buy somebody something like,
yeah.
You know, I'm not saying like that one idea is a game changer, but I like all of that play part that I just don't feel has happened yet. Not because people don't play around with it, but like, it's not Twitch's main thing.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
I think, and I do think you should, there's a lot of, Twitch can do a lot of things, which is like a thing that, why are you in the Opera web browser category?
Why? Well, it's the closest I could find to what I do. I'm going to dominate the Opera web browser category.
Just chatting. That's all it is. You're just chatting.
No, I'm Opera web browsing. No, I gotta change that. Like when I set it up, there's no reason.
Cool. But yeah, I think there's a lot of functionality you could build in. And also the thing about Twitch is like, as a person who does a podcast that is on Twitch first, it's kind of nice because you get, if you want, you know, you save the audio and the video, you can just upload the video directly to YouTube. So you double your content already just by doing one thing. And if you start a local recording for everybody, like that's then you just have a podcast that's easy to sync. It's just, you know, you do like one audio thing and then you're done. And that lives everywhere.
Are you talking about the Shadowrun
podcast? No. I do a different one. It's on this network called Pixel Circus. It's like sort of loosely affiliated with Smosh, but
okay.
They're like, they do a bunch of D&D stuff, but our show is about internet history. So we just like talk about stuff that happened online years ago.
Things that happened. The Wayback Machine, but a podcast. I've never seen you promote it, or I'll check it out. I do. I promote it occasionally. I promote it whenever we go live, which is Sundays at 8. So like it's like one of those things where I don't know. Our viewership is like 140 people a show. We also just took like a month and a half break, but 140 seems pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it's decent. It's people like the show. There's like a small fan base, but I think a lot of people are just there for the channel because the channel is like, you know, they have a lot of like, again, they do a lot of like D&D and role playing stuff. So
yeah.
But it's interesting. I don't know. It's a fun show. It is, you know, some amount of work, but it is like, it's one of those things where it's easy to just, you know, our show can live on YouTube. It can live on Twitch, you know, on the channel page, and also it is distributed in its own podcast feed. So yeah, it's like, you know, it's pretty nice. I don't know. But yeah, streaming, I don't know. Streaming is like one of those things where you can really do as much as you want, depending on if you put the work in. You could do anything as long as you have the time. I mean, this is so the funniest, like, I wasn't going to talk about this yet. But just among us three, like, the main reason I'm doing this personally, like, obviously, like, you know, we're going to launch our app relatively soon. And if I can build a community around shopping, and we're a shopping app, you know, it's like, it makes sense, like, from that standpoint. But from a personal level, I have found that I have been like living in a hell of my own design where I just don't want to do anything anymore because I'm like afraid to start small. And so like,
part of this for me is just an exercise in going like, no one gives a shit about you.
Yeah.
No one cares. Like, just start doing whatever. And like, just getting over the mental hurdles of being like, yeah, just get online. It's fun to do things no matter what the result is. Like, it feels healthy.
You picked the right app, because I still think Twitch is the hardest social network to get any sort of traction on.
Oh,
like,
probably.
you
Yeah.
Really, like, the algorithms are kind of bad. Like, your stream is never promoted to anybody.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like, no one gives a shit about your Twitch stream.
Yeah. I mean, this was so, like, and I'm not going to hump I worked at Twitch for 7 months. Like, and it was awesome. I loved it. I have nothing but good things to say about my coworkers, but like, I'm no expert, right? And I wasn't there during the like run up. So, but what I do, like, what I came out of that experience going was like, man, this thing is super cool, but also it's just for gaming. Like all the other stuff that's been built around it is like still peripheral to the gaming ecosystem. And I may not be able to make content compelling enough to get over that hurdle, but I do feel like there's a whole group of people that like are people that we all know that are like internet people, but they avoid Twitch because Twitch equals gaming. And so like, can I make something that's not gaming related at all on this thing that's built for gaming and sort of swim upstream, even though being on YouTube or building a podcast would probably be like the easier way to go. I don't know. That's just kind of like what I'm thinking.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that, because like, I up until very recently was also a reporter. I was doing, the Twitch thing from the other side as a reporter. But I think it was like one of the things that did for me was how many small, interesting communities there were. Like, people, there were like, you go into like a maker's stream and there'd be like 70 people just watching a guy like do woodworking or making a wallet. Like, and that's pretty cool. And like, I think that actually discoverability in just chatting is much better than any other category. Like, you just have random people who are sorting, like the people who go there sort by like low to high, and they look for people,
Right.
And sometimes they come back, and it's like one of those things where that's the only place where you can get some sort of like organic traction on Twitch. But I mean, I think if you do the thing where you do like a podcasty thing and you upload it to YouTube and try and take advantage of that algorithm, like, you have to do the YouTube thing, which is also a lot of work, which is why I don't do it. But
what do you mean?
Like, optimizing your thumbnails, like your titles, that sort of thing, where it's like you have to do the YouTube thing to get the algorithm to notice that you're trying to do something, and then promote it to the people who it thinks that would like it.
Right.
But that is the surefire way to get viewers on Twitch, is just by using the YouTube algorithm, or TikTok, if that makes you, if that's more comfortable for you.
I don't have a strong opinion either way. Like, I like the shopping thing in particular is really funny, because part of the reason I'm even working on Pretzel with my friends is that like there's something in this space that hasn't been built properly, because everything that gets built is optimized for getting people to buy things instead of being like optimized for getting people to only buy things that will make them really happy. And so like the space is really interesting to me, for Pretzel, whatever. But for me, Joel, making like building a community and doing things with that community, like it's still the shopping stuff is like, that's what I do. Like, it's really sad, but like, that's what I do with a huge portion of my day is just like, I always have this list in my head or written down somewhere of like, these are the 15 things that if I could find an amazing deal on it, like I would buy it. And it's like, some of it's really pedestrian stuff that's like, am I buying my toilet paper in the most optimal way? But then like some of it is stuff where I'm like, oh, I'd really like to get this like old Sony television that like, has a cool design that I liked, or there's a PC, like a Japanese only this like red, I think NEC made it. I forget, but it's like that. There's this thing that I've had on my list, and every week for 2 minutes, I like go look online on eBay and all these places of like, I want one of these things when the opportunity shows up. And I think it's like a leftover part of my, like, that's the thing that got baked into me when I ran Gizmodo and I ran all of these sites, is like shopping for things is like how I use the internet. And even though it's been over a decade since I was a blogger in any sort of active way, I still, like, that's what I do when I wake up. I like go check deal sites. I go check Auction Ninja. I go check like all of those things. And so I'm trying to like lean into my mental health issues and going like, okay, like if this is what I do to like calm myself by like searching, using the internet for this stuff, like, are there other people who do that, who would find that fun to do together?
I think so. I think if you were like the expert shopper and you just had somebody on and they were like, hey, I want to find this. Here's where I've gotten. Can you help me get it?
Yeah, that's what I want to do. And like the other thing that I want to do too, and it, you know, I need a little bit of audience to be able to have this kind of pull, but not much, is like if somebody comes to me and says like, I'm trying to buy something, you know, if certain categories like electronics or, you know, furniture or whatever, I can probably do it myself, right? But I love the idea of like people calling it with like a real stumper, and instead of me being like, oh, we're gonna find this out together, to also be able to like very quickly look up like, hey, there's this you know, expert, like basically like Antiques Roadshow, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna find this person that knows about this thing, and I'm gonna have them call into the show, and then they teach us about like, oh, this is what, you know, the late 19th century woodworking tools are, and like, or like this is what modern you know, printers are like, or whatever. Like I described it to another friend as like just performing wire cuttering, where it's just like tell me what you're looking for, and then like together we will go through and like try to see if we can figure it out. And it could be fun. Like
I think that's a great idea. I also think you're gonna have to get out of the Opera web browser category first.
This week is just my only goal. This week is to stream every day.
You're doing it, and I don't know. Godspeed.
It's fine. You're like warning me off of being like, don't burn yourself out. But like, which is fair. But I feel like this is how I have to build new habits, is like to just do them and then optimize, because my OCD, which I'm learning is like, although I haven't technically gotten clinical diagnosis for OCD, but have gotten a diagnosis for ADHD, like I'm realizing that the OCD flavor that I have is that perfectionism one, which is like, I will only feel confident enough to do something if I feel like I've done every part of it. But if you look at what I've actually done over the years, it's always a shit show. So it's like just embrace the fact that it's like, cool, like you can think about all these things in your mind palace and try to plan for them, but like if you never launch, what's the point? And so this week is just like trying some stuff out. If I meet some friends and build some new followers, then like rad, that's awesome. But like I'm just kind of like every week I'll like I'll add another thing to the list of like, this is what it's going to take to really give this a shot. But you know what? You've inspired me. I will switch finally to just talking for my next ones.
Yeah, I mean, it helps, because also I think, you know, I don't know, it's funny that this far into like Web 2.0 or whatever, it's still like a lightning strike when you get like an audience.
Yeah.
Like, it's still somewhat random, because you see people, you know, posting all sorts of things all the time, and then you see like what's her name, the teen with the hypermobile face who got really famous on TikTok for just lip syncing to a video. It's like, it's still like a lightning bolt.
Hit signal now or something too? Is that same
matter.
thing? Yeah. No, it matters a lot. No, I mean, I went through that. I think we've talked about this, you know, not streaming before, but like, I learned that very quickly, because the 2 years that I ran Gizmodo, And then I had all of these like, publishers. This is like 15 years ago where they were like, oh, you can, like I felt like the belle of the ball because there was all these people like, what do you want to do next? Like, you've got this big audience, you can do this. And I went and started another site that was called The Throner. That was going to be, it was like it was like basically like, what if you took Men's Health and GQ and blah, 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 but you like moved it to Blogdom? Like you could do ideas that simple back then. And,
right.
Out of the, I don't know how big Gizmodo was at the end of my era, but, 250,000 people that read it every day. Like maybe 1,000 of those people came with me to the next thing. And it was a really hard lesson of like, my fans, such as they, are, like, I have a real uncomfortable relationship with the word fan, but like the people that liked what I was doing at Gizmodo. They didn't necessarily like want to just hear about my opinions about Corduroy.
Oh yeah.
So like ever since then, like every time I like that's, I don't say that as like a bummer. It actually helped me a lot then for the rest of my career of being like, appreciate how precious it is when that lightning strikes and cultivate those relationships.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I think one of the hardest things to do is to, and this is one thing that new, like younger creators are doing really well, but one of the hardest things to do online is to get an audience that you've built somewhere to follow you elsewhere. Which is,
that's what Dobbin's saying in chat too.
Yeah. Even with the massive
pay
audience,
attention to our one viewer. This is how you build relationships.
No, but I mean, it's like
got 140 people in your podcast.
This is also why, I mean, like, this is why I'm like somewhat, even though like I have fairly low viewership or whatever, it's like, it's kind of nice. Like, I'm sort of proud of my Twitch channel just because it's like, I have like 2.6 thousand followers on there. And like, it's something I've been working at, but it's also like, none of those people are from Twitter. Like,
right.
It's like
it's
just a totally separate audience.
Yeah.
And like I have like met a bunch of, wow, these view counts are pretty low, but I've like met a bunch of people.
This is not building your brand doing this.
No, I know, but I mean it's but I've like met a bunch of streamers who I also like, and it's like our relationship revolves around like Twitch and Discord, and it's just like a wholly separate thing, and it feels like the nice part of the internet. But yeah, you should start like a Discord. That's the new way to get like a sticky returning audience, because it's easy to like update people on what's going on.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, it's easier than like, follow me on these places and then I'll broadcast to those 9 places and hopefully catch you. Like, yeah, just put everybody in the same bucket. Like, I have come to realize like that everything takes a lot more work than you think it does. And I think for the last few years, that work sounded bad and intimidating, because to me, I was always like, if I don't build an audience that's as bigger than the last audience or the biggest audience I've ever, been in charge of, I guess, before, then like, what's the point? And I had some really good interactions with some people over the last just couple of years where I remembered that there were people that I met online, sometimes because they were like fans of my writing, but often not. Like, often it was just like somebody that you follow on Twitter mutually for like several years, and then one day you realize like, oh shit, we're friends. Like, I would totally go get a beer with you. Like, I trust you enough for that at this point. And like the last 2 or 3 years for me has just been like an active exercise of pulling my head out of my own ass and realizing that I can still get a lot of the things that I want out of community and the internet just by like showing up with no expectations. Because if all I really want is to have like a couple hundred really interesting, cool people in my life, like who will encourage me and I can encourage them, like the internet still does that. It's just like very distracting to realize, like, or when you see the like, one person makes one TikTok video and then all of a sudden they're like, have 100 million views on their music video or whatever, and it's like, I'm a 43-year-old man. Like, that's not happening to me again. Like, I had one little lightning in a bottle moment, and it was awesome and cool, but like like chasing after that high is like not
yeah, it's not sustainable. And I mean, the other thing is like, I think the goal, my goal now is like, not, I don't want to be like fucking online famous. I just want to be like your favorite creator's favorite creator, you know, like the guy who like knows all the guys.
Yeah, no, that's a fun thing.
Because it's nice. Thing. It's like you're in the position where you like actually get to hang out with and interact with these like talented creative people who like know what they're doing, and that's like, it's a really nice feeling, because then you don't, it's like the audience pressures are sort of off. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like I also think it's important to recognize like when your brain is getting warped by like the fact that like more people showed up this time than last time. What can I change to make that happen again?
Yeah. How can I dance differently? I mean, there's the analog for me, and it's funny because video and Twitch and all of this stuff make it much less of an analog and more literal. But one of the wisest things I used to say when I was one of the early popular bloggers, commercial bloggers, was that it was much more akin to stand up to me than like some form of writing, right?
Yeah.
And like I think a lot, I get a lot of, I don't know if you listen to Mark Maron's stuff, but like I'm a fan of comedy in general, and like and I would never want to do stand up or anything. I don't have any like misapprehensions there, but like I love late night, I love history of stand up, all that stuff. Anyway, one of the things that I get a lot from like Mark Maron's navel gazing is like he's been on a kind of similar path in his life as I feel like I have been over the last 15 years, which is like he like had these moments where stuff, you know, were working really well, and then he walked away from a lot of that stuff because it didn't feel like it was making him a better person, or it wasn't fulfilling him in some way. But then there's always this like little part of him that's like, but I want people to listen to me when I have something to say. And I'm making my peace with that to some degree, which is more about a type of like self-respect or self-love, where it's like, it's okay to want to be heard as long as you're not like demanding that people hear you, or that if they choose to not listen to you at some point in the future, you lose your sense of self.
Right.
Like I don't think I'm going to lose my sense of self as easily as I probably did, you know, many years ago, because like the things that matter to me in my life now are like, do I have fun cars to work on? Like, are Crystal and I happy? Like, am I like, when people want advice, do I have good advice to give them, and can I help them? You know, it's like my metrics are like way lower for like the reason to show up in public. And I also simultaneously completely respect the people. And I did this for a few years, and there was some good medicine in there, which was like, fuck all of this. I'm gonna like disappear from broadcasting anything online for a while. Like there's some, that's good too. Like that part is really healthy.
Yeah. And I think that's the big, I mean, the main point is just to not lose your sense of self, like in the content zone.
Yeah.
And also like, I don't know, I think it has to be an active practice to like be happy for people when they succeed.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because like I don't know. It's just funny because like I think I'm right now it's funny. I'm working on a podcast, which I should get back to.
Yeah, I gotta go in a minute anyway. So yeah, you're not in a rush.
For like my day job, you know, and it's like it's this thing that we've been working on for a couple months, or it's been, you know, the show's been in development for a while, and it's like we're working on it, and it's fun and it's good. And it's also not something that anyone's going to see until November, which is like a weird thing to like keep in the back of my mind. Because it's I've started to like actively sort of learn to untether myself from the like internet publishing cycle in a way where it's like, you know, you do something, you get that, like you publish something, 20 people read it, and then they talk to you about it, and then you just do it every day, and it like feels like a lot of people are interacting with you. And it just feels nice to like work on something more considered, and also like to like it feels like slower in a way that I really like, where it's like I'm working on this thing for my day job that I really enjoy doing. I'm also working on this other stuff like for like on Twitch or on, you know, like Fun City or whatever. And it's like I feel like I finally hit this like nice balance of where I don't really like I'm always just pleasantly surprised when people decide to like interact with the things they make, and that's like I feel like that's a healthy way to be. Like, hey, you like that? Great.
Yeah.
Congrats. Here's more stuff I do. If you like that, you might like this, and that's it. Like that's as far as my like engagement, or I'm hoping that's as far as my engagement with this stuff goes. But it's really easy. Like it's really easy to get fucking like when I was streaming more during the pandemic because I like there was nothing else to do and I couldn't socialize any other way. It was like really fucking like I would set my self-worth via the concurrent numbers, which is not something you should ever do.
Right.
Because it's like one day, you know, you're playing a game and a lot of people show up organically or whatever. And then the next day you're playing the same game, doing the same thing, and nobody's there. And it's like, shit, this feels really bad.
Yeah.
And you can't reverse engineer that stuff. It's literally like quirks of the algorithm, quirks of people's personalities. The best thing to do to build a returning audience is to like have a place where they can go, where, you know, like you're always going to be there, like a Discord, for example.
Yeah.
But also to realize that, like, I don't know, everyone has their own fucking lives. Like everyone's doing stuff. Like they're not just like numbers, they're people, and they have things like, you know, like maybe they had dinner with their mom that night and that's why they couldn't be there. It's like there's things like that.
Maybe
that,
something's
like,
happening in the world that's more important than your industry. I'm like underline all of that 100%. And the other thing that you alluded to, which I think, you know, for us being broadly New York media type people, one of the things that I feel like I've been unspooling a sort of karmic debt that I accrued for you know, many years, which is that, you know, while on the balance, I much prefer the cynicism and skepticism of you know, East Coast New Yorker types versus the, you know, like crunchy West Coast whatever. Although everything has its, you know, merits and demerits, but when you talk about like the not being upset if other people are successful, like it's such a subtle thing, but I had to do some kind of active work on that stuff as well to be like, some of it was luck and that's cool, but also like, what is that taking from me? And I think that there's like, I will blame our kind of culture, because it's like not really a scene. There's thousands of, you know, New York media people or whatever, but like this is that vibe is a lot of what I've been trying to unwork in my own head, because I see it poisoning. I have seen it poison my own ability to do any work at all, because when I say like, well, screw them, like I knew them 10 years ago and they were lazy and never did anything, but now they like, you know, are writing a TV show or, you know, like whatever. One, it has nothing to do with me. Two, I don't know their interior daily life and how hard they may have worked and what changed for them. And also like, unless I specifically know somebody is a really crappy person, which there are crappy people, like, don't get me wrong, like you can equivocate yourself into accepting terrible people in your life. And I'm still adamantly against that. But like by and large, it's just like, man, it has nothing to do with me. And I should just be happy for people and not, I'm trying to really get out of this. Like I won't mention any names because it would go against my whole point, but like you have a good friend that, or I at least presume you guys are friends, that like, I have a whole nother set of friends of mine, another writer guy that's like always making fun of that guy's stuff. And it's like, I make those jokes. I'm not saying I don't talk shit about people, you know, in private settings or whatever. Like I'm still a big bitch, but
don't lose that.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't know if I can get rid of it. But it's also like, I don't know, man. I've just stopped. Like I've tried to stop doing that as much as possible, because I realize I'm just like, yeah, those are real people.
It also just sucks. Like,
yeah, it just sucks.
I feel so much better now that I'm not like blogging and unhappy every day. Because like, holy shit, that was real bad. Yeah, real bad for you to write. And also like the other thing is like, it's an exercise in ego, but you're also like renting an audience and you feel like it's yours, even though it is absolutely not.
Renting
which is
an audience is good.
That's the difference that I realized when I started covering creators. I was like, oh, these people actually like, they built those audiences themselves. They didn't like get handed them by a platform.
Right.
maybe it was by an algorithm, but like they really, they did the work there, whatever that work is. And it's like something to respect, even though it does, like, it can seem sort of frivolous. But I don't know, man. Like, I have to say, like, I'm so much more relaxed and happy now that I'm not like actively in the New York media rat race, because fuck, like, you know, I'm getting paid more and I'm getting to work on something that I actually like and like have a stake in and like get to direct a little bit. It's just like, oh, all I needed was a little bit more freedom and money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Also to realize that jobs are value neutral.
Yeah.
Prestige you can't eat, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like Crystal and I, you know, completely upended our lives 2 or 3 times over the last 5 years, moving different cities, all this stuff. And I'm glad we did it in some ways, because like we know what the results of that were. But those were like calculated decisions to be like, we're going to go after money and corporate job status and power as much as we can. And we got, we had some wins. We had some big wins, and our financial situation got better, yada yada. But what we're finding ourselves in right this moment, because like she's interviewing with some companies in other cities that aren't New York or whatever. And I think we're finally realizing like we need to just decide what life that we too want to have. Yeah. and let the metaphor that we've been using is like, we need to stop swimming upstream and being carried downstream. And we need to pick where we want to stand in the stream and then let things move past us. But it's like, if our goal is we want to have a house somewhere so I can have a garage and work on cars, and we can like, we are simple people who just want like some trees and, a yard. We want a suburban, town and country life. It's like, we can do that. And we may not make as much money. We may not have as much high profile jobs. Like, we may not get to work on the big, sexy projects, but like, is that really that big a deal? Like, if we can still get, I would much rather have a stream or like just an output of creative work that maybe I don't ever even make as much money as I have made in the past, but like, all I want is to wake up excited to do it every day. Like, that's my priority list right now, is like, whatever I'm doing, I want to wake up and be stoked that I'm doing it every day.
It really is just like realizing that you don't have to put this much pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it really doesn't matter that much. Like, truly.
I mean, almost all the work is self-work, right? Like,
it's
just getting out of your own way. Like, I was a friend of mine from my last job that is a enterprising type A young man. And he was like trying to, he was just asking me for advice or sharing or whatever. And he was like, I'm looking at this, look at this, look at this. And I was like, I really don't know. But the one practical piece of advice that I can tell you from personal experience as a strategist, like who does a lot of work, like predicting the future for companies and people, is like, all of the skills that I have there that I'm pretty good with don't seem to apply to my own personal life. Like, when I try to objectively, rationally look at my own life, like, there's just this big black hole blinder there that's like, nope, you can't do it. And so it's like, that really is, so much of it is just like, can you work on yourself and then like see what happens? Like, it's much more easy than being like, I'm going to hate myself into success. Like, it just doesn't work.
I will say, Spavis in the chat does point out a good point, which is, to be frank, or to be fair, rather, it's easier to say this after you've had some prestige success, which is
for
true.
Sure.
Once you've tasted the poison chalice that is prestige media or whatever.
Absolutely.
It's before it's after you get your first paycheck, but before you realize that everybody only wants you to publish a blog on their thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a champagne problem. Although I would also tie it to the like what we were saying about like anybody that wants to have somebody pay attention to them is like damaged a little in some way, or I don't know. I hate using that damage language, but it's like there's something in there that you get a better it becomes less shiny because you know the downsides of things. But the irony of that is that it doesn't necessarily, for most people, cause you to crave it less.
Yeah.
And so you still have to interrogate it with like a new set of data. But I absolutely agree. Like if you've like worked really hard on something, and this is very common, more common than not. If you've worked really hard on something for a long time, even if it was your passion, or if it wasn't your passion or whatever, but it just nothing ever felt like it clicked and it like broke your way. Like that's a totally different life experience. And I do remember this because like my career didn't even start until I was like well into my 20s. Like I worked at a gas station for, from 20 to 24 or whatever, but I kind of just sort of barely remember it, So I like Sarah's point is completely legit, which is like, shut the fuck up. If like, or at least contextualize and understand, like,
oh yeah, no,
it's easier to be like, no, I'm going to step back and go to my garden.
It's hard not to feel like it's hard not to feel like a rat in one of those cocaine experiments, like you press the button and it like gives you the thing once and you're like, fuck, I got to keep pressing this button. And then it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And like once it's clear that you've been like sort of pushed to the wayside, you have to reevaluate everything that you thought. It's like the, for example, like the trap of being precocious.
Yeah.
Like, or like somebody calls you precocious and you're like, oh, your potential is so whatever.
Yeah.
And then you have to do stuff. You can't just like not do stuff.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where like once you are out of that phase of your life, and maybe I'm just saying this because I'm leaving this phase of my life.
Yeah.
Like where people expect things of you. Once you're out of that, it's like hard to figure out who you should be and what you should value, because what you've previously only been valued because of the thing that you could have maybe done, which is like a weird and bad thing. But I don't know. I think
there's something there. Yeah.
It's it's very privileged. I mean, it's a privileged thing, but I look, man, I'm just happier because my job isn't really public right now. They're paying me more money. It's I work with people I really like, and I have some autonomy. Like that's all. Like I didn't realize that was what I needed to be happier.
Yeah. I mean, I think privilege is a funny thing because like I absolutely believe that, like whatever, like the capital P privilege stuff, like I'm sure we're probably all on the same page, right? Like from a civilization or societal level stuff, it's like, yeah, like be aware of your privilege, like make sure that you use it responsibly. On an individual level, though, I am a little bit like more, I don't know if I would say I'm like libertarian or laissez-faire or whatever, but I'm just like, your privilege doesn't get you out of your own brain trap.
Yeah.
And so like, and in fact, in some ways, like can make it, I don't know, it makes it harder, but it's like, it's just another complexifier. And so what I have been trying to figure out is like recognizing what privilege I have that's true privilege that I can do something about and not do something about, while also not hating myself so much for that I do nothing. And I think that's where I got stuck for a few years, was like being like, well, I'm fucking useless and I squandered the privilege that I had. So like now I just need to like surf to the grave on, one Amazon box at a time.
Easy place to get stuck.
Yeah. And now I'm just like, and now I'm just like, okay, cool. Like I just start over like beginner's mind is good.
Start a fucking Twitch channel and let the internet tell you that you're nothing.
yeah. No, now I'm ready for it. Now I'm like,
you're ready.
I'll give me the ignore me. Give me the ignorance.
All right. I
gotta go too. I got a meeting at 5. But thanks for testing this with me, and I love talking to you as always. And you
could, if you wanted to make content, you could clip this section and be like, hey, here's the test or whatever.
Yeah, I might do that. You're not wrong. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Goodbye.